Hello, my name is Debbie Reynolds. They call me the Data Diva. Today I want to talk about data privacy and the T app breach. So, the T app is an app used by women who are trying to vet maybe people they are dating or want to date from online marketplaces. So this app has become very popular. I think it's just newly launched, and I believe they say they have over 4 million users so far. But this app had a data breach in 2025. And so the things that were breached, that the company said were breached, were 72,000 images that were leaked online. 13,000 of those images were images, selfies that they had collected from people for an authentication process. And some of those selfies included photo IDs of the people. Also, they said another 59,000 images were leaked, and there were things that were publicly viewable in the app. So this particular this particular breach is very illustrative of a problem that we have with like over data collection. So one problem in this breach is that in order for the people to be on there, they have implemented a authentication process. And so once they authenticate the person, if companies keep the data, like they kept the selfie with the person's ID, then it becomes a breach issue instead of really just deleting that information once you actually get that verification. This is one of the challenges with definitely age verification and also any other type of authentication where you're asking someone to give you additional personal information that maybe they would not have otherwise asked for. Also, another issue here is that this T app, that people were also sharing information of maybe potential suitors or information that they had gotten or photos they had gotten of other people that maybe the people did not realize their photos were on there. Because, for example, let's say a man was on this app, his picture was on there, he really wouldn't have any redress because he's not the person who is the account holder. And so this is the gap that we have in the US between human rights to privacy and consumer rights. So if you're not a consumer, then you don't really have those types of rights. And also, I think whenever you have a popular app that's newly released, I think these companies, may not invest as much as they should in the types of cybersecurity or the types of privacy things they need to have. And so trying to be on an online marketplace, making sure that you're not collecting more data that you need, making sure that you're deleting stuff that you definitely don't need, that definitely creates more risk. And this has become a very popular app, it's a very talked about app, mostly because some people are finding that their information, especially the men that these women are dating, their information or their pictures may end up on these sites, but they may not have any redress because if they're not a customer of the site, there may be very little that they can do, especially depending on the state that they live in. So we'll see what happens with this. This is actually one of the first breaches that I've seen where they've said that they have breached actual selfies and IDs that people use to authenticate themselves in the app. So I'm interested to see how this definitely plays out. I hope that other organizations, if they're collecting information for authentication purposes, that once they do the authentication, they need to really think through why they have that data, why they need to keep it. And then also that data needs to be secured differently than maybe other data within the organization, because as we'll see in this particular breach, it could be very costly for the organization as a result of retaining this data that, as I say, it may have had a low business value because once the person authenticated themselves, is really not a lot of good reasons to retain that data longer than that. And it has a high risk for privacy and cyber breaches. That's it. Thank you.